Hey everyone, it's David here. So I want to talk to you today about how I successfully got this client paid. Hey, I know I'm getting this video out kind of late. I usually do in the morning. I actually did a video this morning and it didn't actually post the way it was supposed to. So this is technically my second video of the day as I've been out and about. One of the cool things about working for yourself is you get to pick your own schedule, and I ran a whole bunch of errands, went out to one of my properties today. Let's go ahead and look at this claim though. I'm gonna give you a few golden nuggets on how I successfully got this claim from start to finish on this, and a little bit about the contracts and what you would do for the agreements here. So this is a claim that I've talked about before that I recently got paid out, and I dealt with the daughter directly. It was for $26,662.47, and there was about 3 or 4 more additional claims for this amount as well, and I went ahead and got the daughter paid here. So first of all, the parents, when I skip traced them, it would show them as 113 years old. They're not in the picture at this point. Obviously they're deceased, and their daughter is in their 80s, mid 80s. And this is a conversation where I've mentioned before, when I spoke to the daughter and I introduced myself, I could tell she was elderly, not the type of lady that you would see out driving and doing stuff on her own. I could tell she was probably not necessarily in some sort of home care, but that she probably relied on some kids or some sort of service that she probably was too elderly to take care of herself. In the conversation, I went ahead and I identified her parents and the claim. So I first of all introduced myself with my script. Hi, this is David from RN Recovery. I'm calling for, and I said her name. And then I went ahead and stated the nature of my call. I'm calling about this account at this address belonging to this person. She replied back, that was my mother, and yes, she had an account. I went ahead and spent the next few minutes of the call educating her on what it was. It was a state unclaimed funds, and people always ask me, well, can't you go around you? It happens. I mean, it's going to happen. And really, if someone doesn't want to work with me, I don't want to beg people for their business. There's too many people that want to work with me. So I educated her about what it was, where it was, and then I educated with her if she wanted to work with me or not. I let her know what I'd be able to do for her. So I went ahead and stated my service and what I'd be able to offer, and went ahead and then asked at that point, you know, if her daughter was, I said, do you have any kids? She said, I have a daughter. I said, is it possible to talk to her? And that's when I heard, oh, I'm listening in the background. So then at that, and the daughter later called me and just said, hey, I'm telling you right now, I fully trust you based on the fact that you asked for me. That was huge. I thought you were total fraud in the beginning. So the way you conduct yourself, your professionalism, it's going to build your credibility. When you skip trace somebody, a couple key points about skip tracing. I've gone over skip tracing over the last couple days. Number one is I always try the phone numbers that are on the skip tracing. I always look at those and try those. Why? Because if the person's deceased. Why? Because I can't tell you how many times I've tried somebody and their son or daughter keeps their phone number and lets people know what's going on. Or one time I called and I was trying to reach a guy in his 40s and he was deceased, and his dad answered and said, yeah, I'm kind of keeping his cell phone, letting people know what's going on. And the dad agreed to work with me when I explained to him the nature of my call and why I was calling and what I was calling about. He said this is not a sales call. So as I wrap this up in the successful claim, number one is I've identified the claim and I noticed the person was deceased. Number two is I came into where it says relatives on the right of this, and it has the R's and the A's. I started calling relatives, and I got a hold of the person down who was the daughter. Now her other 2 siblings were deceased. Now the complications on this case was there was no will, it was destroyed in a fire. And these are going to be some real gold nuggets I'm going to throw out here. Okay, so the will was destroyed in a fire, and of course the state denied it because there was no will. I went ahead and showed birth certificates, death certificates, everything I needed, and that this daughter. So I went ahead and asked for an advocate at the state level, which they do have at this point. Even the advocate was denying it, and there was over 30 emails going back and forth between the state and myself. And I was giving the urgency of the situation and saying, what can I do to get this approved? What can I do to go ahead? And they kept on saying, produce a will. Now, when people need to show evidence of documentation, there's a few ways to do that. Number one is, do they have any old tax records? If they don't, does their CPA have any old tax records? Can they contact an old CPA? Can they contact someone from their CPA's office or something like that? Can they get a hold of somebody? What can they do to do that? Do they have an old bank account? Do they used to bank at Bank of America? Can they go down to an old Bank of America office and pull records? I've had to do that before. I had a Chase account that I had closed and I needed records for my CPA. I went in, now it wasn't that old, but I went in and I got records from a branch. They just downloaded them for them and handed them to me. Can they do something like that? Can they go somewhere and get information somewhere? That's what you want to be doing to get records: old driver's license, old information, old accounts, old emails, emails with attachments. How far do their emails go back? Any old records that they might have. Do their parents have old records? All these were no. All of these zeroed out. She had none of that. What I finally did was I had her sign an affidavit saying that she was the daughter. Her other 2 siblings were deceased, death certificates. I had her show that information and explain that the will was destroyed in a fire and the property address that the fire happened and that the house was leveled. At that point, the state went ahead and granted her 1/3 of the claim. They gave the other 2/3 to the siblings' kids that she had. A lot of times if there's a will or a trust, there's a person in charge. They could collect the claims and get someone paid. In this case, we didn't have that. We had the will destroyed, so the state decided that the offspring of her 2 siblings would get the funds there. Hey everyone, I hope this helps. Appreciate you watching. I'm going to talk a little bit about bankruptcy. I'm doing some information. Tomorrow we'll get into a little bit on that because there have been some questions on that, and I'll see you around. Thanks again for watching.